Hello. It's Dolphin. I don't know why that's surprising. Let's do another Busan review, because you guys won, and that's good. Boring, boring, boring. Okay, good. This is great fighting for this side. I think I covered that last time, but this is a very defensible position like we went over, and just fighting for it is always worth it. It's just one of those things that this is more the point than anything else, and taking the time to just go up here and position people here is great. Let's see, so they're confused. I don't know what they want to be doing. Zen's a little out of position, that's okay. Soldier, you could... So, I mean, this is fine. Like, you could be on stairs here, and sort of defending this a little more, but, I mean, you're wanting to stay behind your Rhine, that's fine, but just, this is a very defensible position, because if someone pushes you, you run away. If they don't push you, you just stand there and shoot them. So, I mean, if you're going to play Soldier on this map, I would, or even pretty much anyone with mobility. So like McCree is a little more risky to stand up here, but like Ash or Widow or Hanzo, you could, and Soldier and Junk and anyone who you'd want to spam or just shoot accurately from a long range, this is a great place to stand, just because you get it basically for free. The objective is they're good. Stand up there more. You guys get the point free. Yeah, so this is good. You don't have to really be this far away. If they're here, you could be positioned on this just so you can pivot in and out very quickly. The difference between being... so this is actually a really easy example of how to open and close an angle. So let's use the... So if you're standing here compared to standing here, let's say you want to shoot this target, and this target's going to shoot back at you. So if you're here, the time it takes you to open this angle, so the time it takes you to start shooting at them from this position, it's position 1, position 2, is this, right? You have to go to about here, and you actually, let's be generous, you have to go about here to get a sight line on them. This takes about, this is an 80 strafe basically, you could just strafe in and out if you're staring at the wall basically, this is your vision. You can strafe this basically. This is called jiggle peeking at some point. When you like release your arrow, duck behind the wall, like wait for your bow to reset, release your arrow. That's jiggle peeking. You normally do it with a projectile here, it's just because you have that reload time. But Soldier, it's still good practice just because you can be on this corner and you can just be in and out very quickly. So like if a hog hook comes and like attacks you, or if like you're getting shot by a Widow and you just want to stay here a little bit, it gives you very easy protection. So here instead, you have line of sight. So to get out of cover in the same example is, let's see, we extract the line. So you'd have to get to about here to be out of cover, which isn't very hard, right? I mean, it's just, this is the difference, right? If you can tighten this down to be an 80 strafe compared to it takes you a tiny bit, this is perfect. So, I mean, yes, you have sort of this out, and you have this out as well, but this is just the example of opening angles. So if you want to be, and there are benefits for being farther away from angles or corners, but in this instance, I think, in a lot of instances, being closer to a corner so that you can open the angle. So like let's say you want to shoot someone over here, right? This you have to move pretty far. You have to move all the way over here compared to here where you have to move to here, which is just like 280 strafes basically. So that's the difference, is if you're closer to the thing, you get the same benefits pretty much as being farther away, besides, you know, distance and blah, 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 blah. But you get to use the angle more effectively. I love my hotkeys now. Oh geez, that's so much fun. Great, you're in control of the point. You don't have to be very aggressive, but I mean you can be. Okay. Hogs. Just standing. Cool. Cheeky. Bubble. Kill the Junkrat. Nice try. He doesn't have a hook, you can punish him. It's lucky. That's awkward. Yeah, that's probably the better way. Even just standing here, because the rest of your team can cover you here instead of over there, because that is the entrance. Yes, it's closer to the enemy team, and they could peek you, but you're probably better off sort of out of sight of everyone, and in sightlines of all of your team, so they can punish if people get too close. Did you guys just stand in front of that? Good taking high ground. Good taking this spot. Okay, you hear it and see it. This is where it would benefit you to be closer to one of these pillars. So even here, this is the basic perfect example of this is if you just reset to here instead of here, you would be, and you were standing here, it takes you half a second to get here instead of a second and a half or a second and a half to get here. So this is the prime example of why this bot is so aggressive and so defensible and just good. And why you should always just, this corner is your friend, basically. Or actually, even just this little chunk of land is ashes and pretty much every long mid-range hit scan in this game's friend, and of course obviously this one if you're facing this way or this way depending, but this is in your case your friend. Okay. Do you re-peek him? Okay, okay. You're shield bashing away. Okay, I don't know what you're doing. You guys are all following in line of this. You're okay. Shields don't protect you in this against high noons anymore. So, you have a McCree. You have, let's say, 3 people and a Reinhardt. Oh god, that ticking is annoying. Okay, you have 3 people and a Reinhardt. So here's your McCree. This nice little cowboy hat. Wow, I'm a terrible artist, but that's okay. So he takes his gun, and if you are all in sightlines of it, this gun will shoot 4 times, and each bullet will keep revving up. So let's say you're standing here for 3 seconds and he decides to shoot. That's about, oh geez, I don't remember. Let's call it about 500 damage-ish. It's around there for each bullet. So each of these bullets is coming out at 500 damage. So let's say this Rhine shield is full health, so 1600. 1600. 1 bullet hits the shield, 2 bullets hit the shield, 3 bullets hit the shield, technically 4 bullets hit the shield. Okay, so he can block all of it. Let's say this shield is at 200 now instead. So not 1600, but 200. 1 bullet will hit the shield will break, and then 3 bullets will go into the 3 remaining targets. So 500, 500, 500. Or depending on where you are standing. So like, McCree shoots, he goes da 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 da, right to left. He goes this way across the screen. I don't know which direction that is. Left, right, yeah. He shoots left to right. There we go. That's the. So it depends where you stand, who dies basically. But 3 of you will die if you're standing behind the shield and he revs up. So this is why the Zarya died here, because you were standing behind the shield and I guess you thought you were safe. But the only defense against a high noon now is hard cover and or CC or shooting him in the head because he's not moving at all. Well, he's moving slowly, but still. But hard cover is the if you have no CC ability, so you aren't Hog, another McCree, you aren't Widow because you can headshot, you're not Hanzo because you can headshot, you're not like Zen with a fully chart, like you don't have the ability to shut him down instantly, hard coverage your friend. So I mean, yes, Orion should hold shield for it because it can protect him and he can still hold some space and maybe save his teammates depending on how how alive his shield is, but in essence, no, you should be making sure that you don't have people behind your shield and that people aren't going to die to it, basically. So, in any case. Great. So this is lost, just stall for as long as possible. Great. Let's see the next fight. Good, you're fighting for this. This is good. Pushing them out just gives your soldiers so much more of an advantage. Especially over... That's unlucky, but I mean, realistically, you should not be looking to fight your entire... You want to come in not later than the rest of your team, but you want to come in once some abilities have been expended. So I'll go over... most likely, I will cover how to take fights probably in another video, but for this one I'll just go over this, but I think I'll send another video of how to take why you want to take fights and how to take fights, because I think just glancing over the other VODs, there was a lot of taking fights that weren't advantageous, or taking one-on-ones, taking two-on-twos, taking small mechanical duels that were not advantageous, and sort of just if you put there's no reason to put yourself in that situation, because if you say this isn't advantageous to myself, and then you walk away from it, or you put yourself in a different you put yourself in a different position or a different spot, you just take a different opportunity that is more advantageous. So I'll cover that in a bit, but you shield hop away from Hog's ult. You shield it for the instant that you feel it, and then you let go, and you take some of that into your armor, and then you shield it, and then you let go. And so because you want to take that health damage instead of your shield damage, because you don't get pushed away when you shield. So now it's broken and you have no options. It's good res. That's unlucky. I've got you in my sights. It's a good combo. Late trans. Stuff happened very quickly. Sure. Okay. Okay, this is good. This is good positioning. Reaper, you could position on point if you wanted to, just to have that ground, but it's actually very good to position up here until you know they're coming, so then you could rotate back on, just because you want to give your soldier or give your backline some good defense, like if they come and charge this direction, then you're there and you don't have to rotate back. Nope. That was good. This is good rotating back to point just to contest. Soldier, of course, you can be right here where you're like 2 steps in front of your Mercy, do the exact same thing, and you have perfect cover. Here comes the grab. Let's not yeet it into nothing, but like yeet it at people, but also yeet it as close as possible to yourself. It's just good practice, because they might have a Sigma, they might have a Diva, they might have a Genji, just something that can turn that against you, and it's also it's more beneficial for you and Reinhardt and Reaper to all be very close to the grab, and so yeeting it far away is not the greatest. Normally you could just throw it on the ground. You get really lucky here because they both walk into it. And your team can follow up, which is good. But think of it as if you turned the corner and you put it right here instead, you'd be able to your Reaper and your Reinhardt would be both a little higher in health. Good bubble. This is over. Great. Okay, that's done. Oh, jeez. Fight so fast. So at this point right here, when it's 90%, so when you're passing 85%, you want to make the choice of if you're going to be fighting in their spawn or you're going to be fighting on point. So at this point, since you guys aren't fighting in their spawn, you have to be fighting on point. That is, so when you see teams at the very end of control points or anything really just push up and push really heavily into their spawn, it's because they have made that decision. Either one is perfectly fine, but you have to be decisive in one of the two. You can't be, this is basically no man's land, and you don't want to be caught here, because yes, it feels like you're gatekeeping, or goalkeeping, I guess is the better word, them from touching point, but you're really not. You're better off trying to do that from point, or 2 feet off point. But trying to stay here and kite back is sort of not the greatest idea, just because you can get caught out very easily. This is good backing off. At this point right here, you want to have vision of the point, especially since they're trying to get that last second touch. You can touch at 96.5% and get overtime. So if people know that, you want to be looking at the point at that moment, so because someone has to touch, and you can normally get a pick that way. Here's the high noon, that's a charge. For some reason. Yeah, this is over. Okay.
Score. Ready for 3, 2, 1. Round 2. Capture the objective.
Okay, you guys are blue team. Let's see. So they are playing poke. You are playing brawl. Ish. I don't really know what I'd call that. It's brawly. So you want to play on point, or you want to sort of just fight for this higher ground area so that they have to, sort of, especially when they've pushed here, they're going to want to go like this, and so if you fight for right here, you can drop on them, or you can go the other way. Or you fight on point, and you sort of deny them that way. Looks like you guys are trying to fight for that. This needs to be communicated, so obviously you need to have your damage coming out, so you're about to get yoinked. But it's a matter of where you want to fight. So if you're going straight to point, you need to do that, and then you can sort of hunker in here and fight from there. That's sort of hard, especially into a Junkrat and Echo, who can just take opposing angles and sort of rain down fire onto you, but sort of fighting for this area probably would be best, and trying to keep them away from that to take as much space and give your DPS the most opportunity to try their best to do something, and really just put out damage, not into shields, but like, I mean, from here you can shoot the junk, you can shoot the echo, you can do a lot of things. But I think you guys lose this because you're a soldier. Okay, nice, nice. Good, fight for this.
Lock on my target.
Good res. You guys somehow get this point because they don't fight for it. You get death beamed. Echo Cooper. If you have point, fight for it as much as possible. I mean, just use abilities, die on point. Just simple habits to make. Just simple good habits, at least. There's nothing sort of wrong with that. Oh, Echo Cooper. Echo go yell. Someone tax your mercy. So you guys don't have heals, because no one taxed you to mercy, but it takes you a little bit. There we go. Nice.
Burning them down. Adaptive circuits engaged. Reaper. Die, die, die.
Oh, that's lucky. You don't really have to group up that far back. I mean, you can sort of already be progressing forward, but just you have to be careful doing it. Okay. It's gonna get rezzed, hopefully. There we go.
Pass into the iris.
Good fighting for this. Should I just wait it out? What are they like? They're not really doing anything to you. If they have trans, why even? You just all sort of huddle together and hope it's the best you don't die. You know, so just wait it out. There's no reason to push into a trans. No reason to like be over aggressive into a trans because you're not gonna really kill through it unless you get a good nade. But even then, it's not really worth it.
Огонь по готовности.
Good. Your soldier's visoring. Probably best to blue beam him unless you see a very low target. That's usually best. Flash your shield to block hooks.
Der Kampf ist noch nicht vorbei.
If you're ever unsure if your Reinhardt is full, you can always use a wall. So if you peek like this, you can see what color they are. And if they are green, they're good. If they're yellow, they need a tiny bit more health. This is good positioning. I would say you probably, I mean, unless you're trying to get a pick right here, you'd be better off positioning over here, just because you have access. They don't have easy access up besides the echo, and so you can shoot down from them here if they come this way. But you don't really have. Can you make a jump here? I don't really know. There might be a jump somewhere here, but in any case, you have the time. You should transition to up here, hopefully. Good. Even just, I know this isn't full cover, but like even just here, because you can crouch behind it and do stuff. Reaper, this is good. You're trying to sort of aggress on this angle. Ryan, you have to be closer. There's no reason to be literally in the middle of the street. You just be on one of the corners and corner swing them. You can be on this one. This one's less good just because you can't kite back to point. This one's a more obtuse angle, but this one's sort of more open, so it's sort of harder to do, but you could just be up here corner swinging on them, and then you can back off as needed. You have full shield. Look to fire strike it, hopefully. Yeah, where it is. It's going behind. Nice. You shouldn't be hard scoped this entire time. I think just make sure that you can hit projectile shots, but also it sort of limits your view. So just be careful of that. Because right here, like your Mercy's shooting at something, and like yes, this is fine, but there's an echo right next to you, so it's a little. Interesting. Probably not needed. This is just a matter of comms of saying is the fight won winnable, lost. All of those things mean different things. So one is no more ults. Don't feed incessantly, but clean up the kills. So it means take the fights that are to your advantage. So if there's a Widow standing in spawn, don't peek her. Because you're not, unless you can one-shot her, there's no real reason to. Or if there's a junk still with a mine, just be careful of him and let your tanks take that fight instead. Don't be over-aggressive for the last kill because it doesn't mean anything at all. Like the amount of time that you get because you stagger them 2 seconds compared to the risk you were taking to do that is very high. So that risk versus reward is really bad. Winnable means you can invest in the fight, like if it's advantageous to you. So at this moment in time when they have 91%, it is probably always advantageous for you to invest in fights because you don't want you don't want to lose basically. Uh, and then and then lost is no more ults. There's nothing we can do to win this fight, bar our Widow hitting 5 headshots in a row. But those are the 3 easy calls to say the fight is won, the fight is winnable, and the fight is lost. That convey those. You don't have to say the fight is. Obviously, you just say winnable, 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 and that conveys a lot of information. Or people can ask, is it winnable? And the answer to that, like yes, no, maybe, conveys a lot of information. Is the fight lost? Yes, no, maybe, conveys a lot of information. It's just those 3 things, everyone knowing what that means, pretty easy to convey a lot of information, which is the idea of this game and
Dein
comms.
Schutzengel ist da.
Nice try. That's unlucky. Cool. Well,
Helden sterben nicht. Der Kampf ist noch nicht vorbei.
res.
Adaptive circuits engaged. Honor.
Huge bubble.
Helden sterben nicht.
Огонь по готовности!
I finished them off. Overtime.
If you're Valking and there's like 1 target that you can't hit, damage boosting is pretty good just because it damage boosts everyone on the team. But you guys won this, so that doesn't really matter.
I've got you.
Great.
Victory. Traveling to Icon, ready for battle. Attackers incoming in 30 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Attackers incoming. Defend objective A.
You guys probably should have heard the Doomfist, but I mean it's hard to know. Also, if you hear a Doomfist off to your left, he's probably doing this flank, where he, comes from up here. He didn't even do that well, but Good shutdown of the Doom, though. Good lamp, good lamp. That Zen feeds. Probably that's the loss for them. Yeah. There's Zen feeds and they don't have the damage to clean you guys up very quickly, so they lose. If they had the engage on you, they just messed it up. And they take forever to re-engage. Come on. Sorry, I'm gonna regret skipping. Okay, no I'm not. Sorry. Ba, 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 ba. Be careful walking past, obviously, just because you don't get as your sight lines sort of dim when they go into choke, and then they sort of stay that way because, for example, like here's choke. Oh god, it's huge. Oh well, I can. Anyway, here's choke. Good enough. So if your people are standing here, they don't have the greatest sight lines past this, so they have all the sight lines in the world here. But then once it goes into choke, it ends up being sort of more of a straight line with sort of little bits of coverage here, right? So they don't end up having all of this. But any of the people standing here or here can shoot you once you get past this choke. So that's the reason why chokes are very defensible because they force everyone coming through here, so that on the flip side of this, you can stand here and shoot the person here, but they can't have their team who's back here shoot you. So that's why chokes are defensible and like this. So you don't want to put yourself in into the attacker's position when you don't have to, and when it's not advantageous for you. Obviously, like if you're trying to clean up kills, you should go past choke and you should push them down. But when you're starting off fights, you know.
Vide mal suyo!
Really? You just walked in and did that? Don't let your barrier get destroyed. Especially to poke damage, and you don't even need
Vide
it.
mal suyo!
Seriously, just walked in and okay. For BAP, you can play a little further back. This is a great corner, just because you can hit your shots, and you don't really lose the fall off when you're shooting, too. So, plus it sort of keeps you safe from all of the different angles that people can take, because you can just, here's the whoop, and you're gone, or even, and you're very, very gone. And then you have full cover from afar in here, so it's pretty good. Brig has to stand a little closer, but, you know. McCree could play either this corner here, because it's good peeking, or you can play the sort of car here, just because you want the angle up for the Pharah, but it also gives you cover for that. So that the Hog can't just turn that and hook you, or the McCree can't just turn that and flash you. Good ult. Yep, that's about right, Brig.
30 seconds.
Good dying on point. They just used a lot of ults. It's okay.
Objective lost.
The power of destruction.
Not an advantageous fight. We'll cover that later, but still. This is good pushing them off. Wow, they sort of ceded that to you so easily. Good grabbing the health back. That's why that high ground's pretty good. They're just blind. Both of your healers just walked up to you. Don't walk away. I mean,
Into the iris.
not the wrong thing to do.
Dein Schutzengel ist nur... Helden sterben nicht.
It's hand. Die.
Probably didn't need both, but that's okay. Communicate. And start yelling that there's a Zarya on you. Especially if you hear the footsteps keep coming towards you, just keep backing away.
Team kill.
At least Sigma or Rhine, either one, should just reset to the high ground. It's not that hard. There are stairs. Sigma is great just because if you have Flux, you can pretty much see where they are and use it pretty easily too. Plus, it doesn't let your McCree get absolutely punished. Good. Good usage. Did it go off, or am I just blind?
30 seconds.
Oh yeah. Nice. You can try sidestepping punches. It's hard, but with a shield you're going to get punched in the face. That's how it works. So just If he's charging his punch, you're better off just either swinging towards him and hoping that you hit him, or especially since your swing can collide with him and it will still do damage, just like his punch will still do damage. That was a waste.
10 seconds.
That's lucky. Your damage beam for Moira Cole doesn't get worse at range, so just coming back here and just zapping people, especially since being farther away from a target makes it easier to hit. Well, with a Cole, that, I mean, it's pretty easy to track them with a big ass beam. It makes it easier to hit, and you're less likely to instantly die to a flash, to a Junkrat combo, to a punch, all of those things. So just being farther away, even like, again, yes, this is quote unquote their area now because the part is over here. That's just like, that's not correct, right? There's no one here. There's no one pressuring this area, so this could be yours if you stand here. There's no reason to not to fear here, because you know more or less where everyone is, and no one's standing. Like, no one is standing here. No one is looking here because all of the focus is in front of them or on cart. So if you stand over here, they won't. I mean, they're gonna expect it, or they should expect it, but this just makes you safer from this Junkrat comboing you, basically. Plus, it makes it easier to aim. It's over. It's fine. Great.
Initiating match. Ready for battle. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Attackers incoming. Defend objective A.
I mean, I guess the greatest charge in the world. Not the worst, but it could be better. Somehow trade. Nice shot. This is where you play slow, because you have respawns coming in, especially with a Lucio. They're faster than the enemy respawns. Case in point. Your Ryan still has charge in this instance. Good turning. Would have been sad if you guys left her, so, you know.
Stop the payload.
This is hard. You guys should probably just take high ground from them and just sort of stand there and let your people push carts. So, like, you don't need to take this space, right? If you go up into castle and up through here, just as an entire team, or just, you know, Ryan Zari, Lucio, and your DPS, or just one of your DPS, should be all 5 realistically, and you just stand here. It keeps your Ana safe because you can drop back pretty much instantly and go either kill, avenge your Ana who needs people to push the cart now, or you just stay up here and there's literally nothing, unless they push you, nothing they can do about it. And you should take the fight up here just because taking this area is not more for denial of them, especially with a Junk and a Doomfist, but yeah, it's actually just blatantly for denial. I mean, your Hanzo gets something out of it, but like no one else really does anything on high ground. But it's plainly for denial. Yeah, you have to fight for this because of denial. Watch. The Doomfist is going to get a kill, and the Junkrat's going to rain down a massive amount of damage on you for free. Three, two, one. One kill. Yup. Get it as far as possible and then back off. Right about there, you should back off. So your team's back. I mean, it's a little iffy. Incoming. Nice turn. Huge bubble.
Helden sterben nicht.
Good beat too.
Wie dem Alzio!
Just don't give a shit about the Ryan charging Uzari, but that's fine. What? Get him!
Meteor strike!
Well, that's hilarious. Remember, get close to the people who don't have defense abilities for this. So, what are you looking for? You can't see him in the sky when he ults. What? Anyway, get close to your Ana. Get close to your. Actually, everyone else can get out of this. So, but get close to your Ana, just because then you can pivot the shield. So. Yeah, I don't want to explain that one. You just pivot the shield on Ana. That's what your Ryan should be doing. Oh, your Zarya is dead. Oh, nice grab dragons. Okay, that was good combo, good combo.
My strength unleash its destination.
They ult your Ryan, but yeah. Just stay on cart here. There's not really a reason to take them off, else you just stack them through and you sort of just win. But no, wrong button.
Traveling to Volskaya and ready for battle.
Boop.
2, 1. Attackers incoming. Defend objective A.
Does this normally work for you? 'Cause your BAP has no LOS of your Bastion. Your Bastion is playing amazingly close, especially for the fact that most teams come this side, and pretty much the only people who go through this door are people that I tell go through this door. So having a sightline of that door and expecting them to come from this side is a little strange. And if you're playing Bastion, you want the longest sightline possible, because that's how you kill them. Or the longest straight, no cover sightline as possible. Which on this map ends up being this one, where you have control of the thing they need to get to, and you have the ability to sit right here to control all of that, and or control all of this if you want to rotate. And especially if you have a sim, you can just change that instantly and go to one of the longer ones. A great strat on this one that is very hard to break is Sim Bastion, and then Orisa Sig, and then Mercy Bap. You put the Sim Telly across, and then you use the Bastion to go back and forth depending on which one's advantageous. Obviously it requires a little amount of communication, but that's what this game is, and so, I mean, it's not that hard, especially since you can play so slow, and it's pretty much unbreakable till they get ults, so, unless you get really unlucky. But, I mean, it shaves basically 2 minutes off the clock, or you full hold. And, I mean, that's just how it works. This is not the smartest thing in the world to do, because you literally cannot see the thing that you want to immo, and it's like the shortest sightline you could take on Bastion. He's not a win-all character. He's not like he has a laser beam. I mean, what the? Okay. Sig, you want to kite as much as possible. That was a good shot, and then kiting back here is really, really good. Yeah, I don't know. That's just okay. Good job.
Objective lost. New defense point. Objective B.
Nice shot. Kite, get it. Basically, if they push you with more than people than you want, you kite it out. There's no real reason to stay up there. That's the entire sort of fun aspect of Sigma, is that he just kites for years. So good dropping, good getting out of there. Probably don't want to stay after you Wraith. This is where being this far up is okay and perfectly good if you have a healer and if you are sort of pushing safely. So if you get picked here, you have a very good chance of getting snowballed out of second, which is very defendable. If you kill the Mercy here, they lose 10 seconds. Okay, I'll give you a good conservative 20 seconds. I feel like if I were to put that on some scales of which one is more valuable, I think it's pretty obvious. Lose or 20 seconds off the clock. This one is a lot heavier. So, yes, this is fine. Your Mercy's coming. But you have two big things behind you. These people aren't really going anywhere if you just stay on this corner and you keep shooting them from here. Perfectly valid. Your tanks will be there instantly, so it doesn't really matter. In any case.
Огонь по готовности!
You get grab out. Don't know why. Yeah, so you guys are going to have a close fight here, even though you did get picked, so it's actually not going to be that close of a fight. But this is my point. Your tank's kited back. There's not... Getting those pigs didn't really matter in the scheme of things. They could sort of... Yeah, in the scheme of things, it doesn't really matter. Plus, you're saying, I'm definitely going to be getting these picks, because if those two things didn't happen, it's now a 4v4 and it's winnable. But
Dein Schutzengel ist da.
so just be aggressive, but be aggressive behind your tanks, because there's less likely chance that you will die. So, and even then, it's not a matter of not being aggressive here. It's being literally like a second less aggressive. So just stop pressing W for a second, let your tanks catch up to the aggression that you have, and then you'll be there. If that second of aggression means the difference between not killing Mercy and killing Mercy, then so be it. This aggression almost lost you the point, or at least a tick. Yes, don't like solely focus on the Mercy. Clear the point, make sure that everyone's safe, then go be aggressive. Your whole job on defense is to burn time off the clock. It's not, this isn't deathmatch. This is play as defensive as possible and not die. Go. This is good. This is good denial. At least you're fighting for it. Like since they've gone up here every single time, you don't even have to really be like using your resources to stay up here. You could just be standing behind the wall here and just sort of like waiting for them. And then you just fight them for it, and you burn a little more of their resources so that the Rhine has to start with 12. It's just nerfing the Rhine shield, basically saying, and it might even bring out some cooldowns. So it's saying you don't get to play with this much shield, you get to play with this much shield now. And for Rhine, that's very it slows their push down, does a lot to them. So this is really good, fighting and denying them high ground, especially if they're going up here. But you don't have to waste all of your resources that you should be, since you can get for free. You could just jiggle peek this. Your Reaper isn't gonna be doing anything besides you. Like you should just be. I mean, he's trying to see stuff so that because you guys don't have perfect comms, obviously. But like he could just be sitting right here using his ears to listen, and you could just be jiggle peeking this and not even using your shield. So. Just small efficiencies. Be very careful not wraithing before when you hit. When you're playing into Echo, just be very careful because once you hit half, you're very vulnerable. Good ult. They're just wasting their resources. Not really expecting a kill here, but it's good punishing them. Yes, you got something because you all looked at it. That's good. Make sure you have an out. You're a little deep because you don't have tank pressure. Your McCree is very deep. You can't realistically be that far up, or your Rhine has to be pushing with you. Your Rhine should be more aggressive here and just sort of holding that space, especially if you want to keep pushing, but you are on defense. There's not really a reason to be pushing that hard, unless you for sure can get a pick. And if you are unsure about it, like you have a 80% or lower of getting that pick, not really worth it. Unless you're junk, because then you just spam and you hope for the best, you know? But good, making them fight for the high ground. You're not going to do any, well, you know, till the Reaper patches go through, you're not going to do any damage from shooting at range. You just used Wraith. You are so lucky.
Out of existence.
Fire in the hole!
Good job. Ryan is so out of position. Start swinging. What are they going to do to you? Shoot you? Yeah, you need to be a little more aggressive. It's just, you're sort of waiting for them to come into you, and if you see an opportunity to be aggressive, and be aggressive on the Ryan, it's worth it. Or be aggressive on anyone, especially someone who's literally just walking into you. Oh, jeez. 20 seconds is a long time, apparently. Yeah, so there's not really a point to obviously wasting your shield, and the Reaper is shooting from here. Yes, that will change with the incoming spread change for Reaper, but, you know, till then. Good fighting it for it, because you still have Wraith. Easiest thing, try to throw your lamp behind something, a hard cover. You don't have to throw it into the grab. You don't have to, like, knowing the radius of it, I think you probably could have hit it if you threw it right into this corner. Don't take my word of that, because I don't really play BAP that much, but that is sort of the higher level tech that you can do, is if it's behind hard cover, it can't get shot, but it just needs L less of them. It doesn't need to be directly on top of them.
Reaper.
I love the Reaper character.
Der Kampf ist noch
this is just scrappy.
Hello.
You get it because I mean, you had it because of respawns. It doesn't really matter, but you know, I'm hungry. I was dumb. Nice purple.
Like Newton and Adam.
Why do people just want to be closer? I like on a McCree, you don't gain anything for being closer to the enemy team. It makes their hitbox bigger. You say, yes, this is true. It also makes your hitbox bigger. You should be dead. That junk had 2 mine. A mine, I'm pretty sure.
Hello.
10 seconds remaining.
Also, if you have this ult, or if you have this, like, you don't really need to be poking. You're not gonna kill anyone with Reaper doing this. Why switch to Genji at the very end, not like Mei or Doom? Like, you're not gonna get an ult. I mean, I guess for the assassinations, but yeah, you have to be pretty good, honestly.
Adaptive circuits engaged.
Attackers incoming. Defend objective A.
Charge! Oh, jeez. Well, that was a fight. Yeah, there was no target focus at all. You guys sort of just went in to go in, and you're just like, if we all go in at the same time, it'll be good. And you still have to focus targets. Either the Rhine is a good default target, but just like going in to on a single target, especially with Elysia speed boost, is very aggressive and very. If you go onto the Junkrat, he has to use a mine to get out. You go onto the BAP, he has to use field or he has to jump out. Especially with the D.Va, you can sort of punish that. There's plenty of stuff that you can do, but you have to be very specific on a target. You can't just be like, okay, we all go in and we all, yep, great. You can't use the token effort of like, we went in all together. That's, I mean, you can and it'll end up being just that every single time. Good orb. Got shielded, big good orb. Good rotation. You have to slow down a little bit. Y is okay. Okay, 2 of you got booped. That's fine. The Reaper got out of it. There's a wall that you could have just wall right. If you don't have backwards wall writing on, you should turn it on so that if you just hit space, you can do it, depending on which way you're getting booped and whatnot. It could be bad, could be good. It could be bad, could be good, depending. Here, it would have been great just because you would have wall read out of it and not given it. Reaper got out fine. I think the idea was to go through here. This is map knowledge, and the fact that you ended up here with your shift is impressive with knowing how to shift jump, or like and get distance with your shift, but also really bad because yeah. Anyway, good charge. Kill him. I don't know what you were doing, Reaper. You could have at least taken the fight with your team, but you know, it's fine too. Not the greatest opportunity, but she has shift. Now you just feed. Okay. Lost fight. Yeah, as soon as Moira ended up on point, that was a lost fight. Every time, every second before that, it was fine.
Going free.
That's unlucky.
Adaptive circuits
Yay!
engaged.
You have Lucio, just run away. Why are you... Whoa, that's cool. Why are you here? Do you have boost? There's just the wrong key multiple times. You do have boost. Are you gonna use it? Well, you didn't know to use it, but also, you don't want to be there. Especially if your team's... over here. You know? Why are you here? That's weird. You should just be with your team still, because you could at least take this 5v6, especially with a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ow, I'm just blind. Oh, they're in fade. Okay, I'm not blind. Feel better about that one. Yeah, you should just be with your team. You could at least take this 5v6. You don't need to go back for a diva. They have shift. If they don't have shift, I don't know what to do. They're just out of position. Okay, lost.
Executing flight
Okay, you're just gonna ult them. A little late, but that's fine. Shield. Shield. You can shield tires.
Огонь по готовности.
Seriously? There's 3 of them and there's a soldier. Okay. Well, that right was dumb. This is the reason why you don't do this, because you feed, especially into a Mercy. Mercy should just go for a res. That's the way they win this. Nice. Mercy's strange.
Circuits engaged.
Run. Use your legs. You can turn around and run away. Would have lived, and then you could shoot him. Then you could run away more, and you can shoot him. Soldier's the best character for kiting. When they're swinging on each other, your damage boost actually gives a huge edge. Yes, you can hit, but just having that out means that you don't sort of mess it up.
10 seconds.
When you see them go for the fire strike, you should damage boost, just because that's a huge damage ability coming out. Great.
Objective lost. New defense point. Objective point.
Gotta be aggressive into a junk, and you just want to take fights as fast as possible, especially with Lucio. You just want to be you want to keep going and run them down. Obviously targeted aggression, so you have to pick a target and you run them down, but with the junk, the faster you take fights, the less value he gets. Wait, what? Okay, that Ryan's. Okay, interesting. And either touch. Cool.
Victory.
Yeah, yeah, so you targeted aggression, and then make your rotations, but also have an idea of where you're going with your rotations. So if you want to go to high ground, you have to all make it to high ground. You have to do it without getting picked. So slow down a little bit for your tanks, but also calm down. It's not a race who gets there first. It's you want to all get there safely. And if they have the one-shot potentials of Junk, or I mean, even Echo has a pretty low time to kill. So just be careful. Just use your abilities to get there and make sure that you do. If you're trying for for an interesting rotation, just use your abilities, but also stay together as a team. And that means, but also go as quickly as possible, right? So Diva, you don't have to stay behind and be like, I DM for no one except for me. Like that's not worth it. Like Ryan, you don't go back and you try to save them. You just, if you lose people, that's fine, but and you can still take a fight depending on who you lose. But it's usually just stay together, and try to keep each other safe. But if someone falls behind, you leave them, and then you go take the fight 5v6, and you hope you win. So, yeah, I think that's everything. Yeah, I'm gonna. There's a couple of little notes for mechanical duels that needs to be obviously needs to be like explained a little bit, just because taking duels that or taking fights that aren't advantageous and you're taking them willingly. So that I'll make a different video about that. But there's yeah. Anyway, good luck.